Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. Episode 148. We are closing in soon enough on the 3-year mark, right? For Hanging with Mangg. That's pretty crazy, huh? But it's just an enjoyable thing to do. Hang with Mangg. So the game that we're playing today is Elder Scrolls Online. And you may have noticed a plethora of Elder Scrolls content this week. Really, there was like one Zelda video, and then it was pretty much all Elder Scrolls Arena the whole week. Yeah, I guess I'm just kind of in the Elder Scrolls thing right now. You know, partly, I guess, as a job and partly as a hobby. You know, it is sort of for research for the Exploring series, but I also happen to like the Elder Scrolls, despite what I might say sometimes. And so, you know, we've. It's just I wasn't really in the mood to play almost anything else. Nier Automata just did not grab me, I guess. And Arena, yeah, it's old. I don't think it holds up that well. Like I said, it's a very interesting foundation for the series. It's very interesting to see where the games came from, where they started, but not an incredibly enjoyable game to play. I have started playing Daggerfall. I have some parts recorded. So you'll get to see that this week. And that game is definitely far superior to Arena. Still somewhat troubled by the whole randomized dungeon concept. Where they'll just have, let's have 30 billion dungeons and we'll just have them be randomly generated and none of them will be really that great. Okay. And I don't even know if the ones in Arena that I did were randomly generated, but they were huge. Why do I have a limited amount of time to pick a lock? Is someone watching me? Hold on. Anyways. So, yeah, Arena, pretty rough. Daggerfall, better. Morrowind will probably be better, and so on and so forth. Once we get into the full 3D games, things will probably really pick up. But, you know, we gotta work our way there. So, you know, I was just sitting around, and I figured I'm never really gonna, like, I'm not gonna let's play Elder Scrolls Online or anything, but it is a fairly important part of the Elder Scrolls canon. So I probably should play it, and I'm in need of something to play, so here we are. For those that remember way back when I played the beta or the alpha, or what, it was under an NDA, but I think I streamed it anyways or something. I thought it was a big pile of shit, but it seems to have improved quite a bit now, so that's good. yeah, so that was most of this week on this channel was just Elder Scrolls. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be different for this coming week. We'll see what happens. We didn't even do the Sprawl again this last week because people were just people. But we are doing it tonight in a few hours, about 3 hours or so. We're going to be doing some sprawling, so kind of an odd time, but it is what it is. And, yeah. This week on the Exploring series, I worked on the timeline of Elder Scrolls video, which I would say is the hardest video that I've worked on to date. It's not quite the longest video. It's, I think, it's third place for longest. It's pretty close, though. It's pretty close to the longest. But yeah, it was very difficult to put together. I mean, my head was swimming after I was done with the script. There is just a whole heck of a lot going on in the Elder Scrolls world. Because there's just so much. I mean, there's a lot of events, of course, but the interesting thing about the Elder Scrolls universe is sort of the racial biases and things that come up. Because pretty much, you have all these races, which is a lot more than Tolkien ever had. All these different branches of elves, and you have all the different branches of men, and then you have the beast folk, and you have races that aren't playable races, but they're still in the series, and they all have sort of their own biases as far as history and religion are concerned. So it leads to a lot of, like, is this an actual fact, or is this just what they wrote about it and sort of distorted the facts? Yes, ESO is completely canon, 100%. Therefore, it is quite important that I understand the events. Like, you know, there's 3 factions in this game, which are comprised of a number of different races, and so that leads to the 3 banner wars, the 3 banners war, which is sort of the explanation for why all these races are fighting against each other, which is, I was surprised at how much explanation they put into it, because I thought, oh, it's just, you're fighting each other, have at it. But they do sort of have their own reasons for everything, although the High Elves are kind of the utter dicks of everything. 1,000 years before Skyrim, it's in the 2nd era, and Skyrim is in the 4th era, and I don't remember off the top of my head how long the 3rd era is, but I want to say 800 years. I would say it's like 1,400 years or something before Skyrim. Something like that. Something like that. Yeah, so it's also kind of interesting because it's like the game's canon. This game is still like, it's still ongoing. The story and stuff is still ongoing. And so, you know, it's kind of like, it's basically a prequel. Like, we kind of know how things work out, but they're just like filling in gaps, but they can't really go like, they can't like go too overboard with things. Although from my understanding, they have had some pretty crazy events happen in the game so far, but it kind of returns everything to the status quo regardless. So, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna play it. Luckily, it doesn't seem like that terrible of a game, but I only kind of just started, so we'll see how it goes. The grass is still fairly fucked up in that it follows your view, and that's just so hilarious to me. But I don't think you're really supposed to look at the grass. I think you're supposed to just walk through it. Anyways, the timeline of Tamriel video is... I don't know. I could have just, like, scrapped the whole thing and rewrote it and just... I don't know. It's just kind of a clusterfuck. It makes sense to me, but that's because now I've done, like, all the reading, so I know more details than what's in the actual video. I don't know how it'll come off to a casual fan of the series. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea now. I mean, I think it'll help if you have, like, a cursory understanding of the various races in the series. It'll probably help. This is not going to work. But, you know, the races that were present in, like, the first era are a bit different than what you're playing in Oblivion or Skyrim or something like that. Because you have the Chimer, which became the Dunmer, and then you have the Snow Elves, which don't exist, and you have the Aliads, which don't exist, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's a lot of history, so a lot of things have changed, and it was a tough video to just summarize all of that. And I was looking on YouTube, I was like, okay, well, I mean, after I finished, of course, I didn't want it to influence me, but I was like, after I finished, I looked on YouTube to see how other people have done this kind of timeline summary. I couldn't find another video that within like 10 to 15 minutes summarized the entire timeline of the series.
This one will stop looking.
So, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I did it. It's done, and it will be out tomorrow, so we'll see what people have to say about it. I think huge fans of the series that do know all the lore will probably be a little pissed off about my summarization of the creation of the world and the universe, which is probably by far the most complicated thing in the whole lore. It definitely puts Tolkien to shame as far as a convoluted creation myth. Yeah. So I put in like the children's version of it. There's a book that appears in, I think, almost every Elder Scrolls game except like the first one, Arena. But it's literally like the creation myth for children, and so I just kind of put that summary in because it will get its own video. So anyways, I think the next week I'm going to be working on the video talking about the Elder Scrolls themselves, which will be probably pretty interesting to some people. It's the name of the series. Anyways, I guess that's about it. Also, as far as video games are concerned, I actually sold my Vive, my HTC Vive. I sold it to my brother for 350 smackaroos, which is far less than I paid for it. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it is when you're an early adopter. That's just kind of what's going to happen. But the reason I sold it is because the Oculus Rift now is on a summer sale for $400, and that comes with the Oculus Rift itself, the new touch controllers, 7 free games that activate once you activate your touch controllers, and then I got it through Best Buy, which comes with the old bundle, which means you also get a Xbox One controller as well as Eve Valkyrie for free as well. So 8 free games and a controller, and the touch controllers, so on and so forth. For $400, which is a pretty insane deal. And of course, when I first bought the Vive, it was because everyone was saying that the Vive was the way to go, because they had room scale. They had the 360 degrees with the controllers and sort of really, you know, the standing gameplay and all that, and being able to walk around and blah blah blah. Whereas Oculus at the time was completely a seated experience. So it was kind of a no-brainer at the time. The price wasn't drastically different.
Turn back, master.
But now, with the touch controllers for the Rift, which people say are better than the Vive controllers, and Oculus has really put in... they have sort of their own library of premium games that are... people are saying, like, you know, as good as it gets right now, and... you can kind of play some of them with the Vive if you use third-party software, which that's how I played Superhot VR, which was a hell of a fun experience. That is definitely one of the best things I've done in VR. But there's a bunch more on the Oculus store that I would like to play, and people are saying the touch controllers are better, and so I figured, all right, why not? It's some new stuff for VR. It's like $50 for me. I get to spend $50. I get 8 more games, a free Xbox One controller. You know, why not? So it seemed like a no-brainer for me. So that'll come this week, and there might be some more VR Let's Play videos or something like that.
A simple Khajiit, doing what she can to survive. Sehirodoro came to this shrine for guidance.
The other thing that I'm looking to purchase, probably after I get back from Gen Con, because I'm sure that will deplete my financials a little bit, is a new microphone. Right now I have the Shure SM58, which is like a $100 microphone, and it's not bad. I mean, as far as a Let's Play microphone goes, it's pretty good. I mean, you obviously could do a lot worse, but I don't just do Let's Plays anymore. I have something that is a bit more following and is a bit more important to me, at least, I guess, which is, I guess I could call it professional voiceover work. You know, it does make money, so I'd like to get an actual kind of professional voiceover microphone, which I was looking at the SM7B, I think it's called. Hold on. Yeah, which is it's a $400 microphone. If I ever said what I do for a living, well, I used to work for, well, I guess I still do. I still work for my family's art business on the side. I kind of handle their website, and I put on new products for them and sort of do maintenance and things like that on their website. That is just some side stuff, because they don't really have anyone else to do that, and I set up the website for them. So that's some extra money on the side, which is nice, but mainly my job at this point is pretty much exploring series. It's not like if I had a family and stuff, and I was like supporting all of them or something like that on a single income, the exploring series would not cut it. But
isn't
as it
about
is,
what
the
is
Exploring
taken
series
from
supports me
you,
just
but
fine,
what we gain from
especially buoyed by side work from my family, so that's pretty much what I do, which is a pretty good way to live. I've got no complaints.
I hear your pain, old one. Windcatcher Plantation depends on the great tree, yet it sickens before my eyes. Our fates are like leaves in its branches.
Yeah, a lot of people are pretty shocked. Well, a lot of people are pretty shocked at all that you can make any money on YouTube, like that it even pays anything. That's mostly older people that are shocked at that. I think younger people do understand that, you know, you do make money. But yeah, even young people that I when I was in Europe and stuff, and I was with the school trip, and I told them about it, they were really surprised. I mean, I didn't talk specifics, but I did tell them that it paid for this Europe trip. So they were pretty shocked by that. And yeah, it's definitely a blessing. I'm very
Do
pleased.
you see that strange miasma? It appeared on the great tree after the hurricane, like a sickness. I've done what I can, but I fear it's not enough. There's a cave directly beneath us. I called a spirit there to heal the great tree's roots, but it hasn't returned. Would you see what holds the spirit back, and aid it if you can?
I mean, I wouldn't say that it's
Feels frustration. It wants to help the great tree, but something
easy.
prevents it.
I mean, I am. It's very nice for me that I have a brain that can handle doing the Exploring series. Because like I said, like when I was done with the timeline video, the script, my head was just like that was. There is just, and there are obviously a lot of tough jobs in the world, and I wouldn't call my job tough. But it's not. I wouldn't say that anybody could just. I'm gonna copy the Exploring series. I'm just gonna do that. It's tricky to be able to summarize in a coherent and entertaining way, you know, where you don't. That's one of my biggest goals with the entire series, is to actually educate someone about, you know, what they're watching. It's not. I don't want to make it just for the hardcore fans, where it's just repeating what they already know, and they're like, oh yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. Yeah, that's cool. Like, I want to bring it to people that have a very basic understanding, and actually they end the video with, oh, now I know more. And that's difficult. And a lot of people, like one of my biggest competition, especially for like Lord of the Rings, is a guy named Civilization EX. I think it's actually a group of people. And I've only watched a few of his videos, but from what I learned from watching his, is that he tends to use as like every name. He'll use every name of any type of people, event, location, whatever. He will use the official proper name as it is within the lore. Which, if you know everything, is fine and it's cool. And he actually put a lot more work, and he's a lot better with pronunciation than I am. And that's great if you know what you're talking about. But for the average viewer, you're going to end that kind of video with really no recollection of what he talked about. There's going to be a lot of names just flying over your head that, you know, it's just, okay, in one ear and kind of out the other. You might have a casual improvement in some sort of understanding about what happened, but my goal is to really have things stick around. And so I try to, I guess I basically try to dumb it down. Not that viewers are stupid, it's just the way that most people learn. They can't just hear all these sorts of little facts. Not even, I mean, I can't do that. We went on bus tours around Europe, and we had tour guides, and they would just rattle off, you know, dozens of facts about, you know, French history or whatever, architecture, and I don't remember anything. Because you can't just rattle off all that stuff and expect people to understand it. You have to be a bit more nuanced than that. At least that's what I think. So, yeah, that's not easy. From my experience of making all these videos, it's not easy to take a complicated lore, you know, that, you know, look at Tolkien, and he's got the Silmarillion, which a lot of people read and they don't understand. You know, they're like, oh, I read the Silmarillion, but I really have no idea. And I get a lot of comments that are like, you know, I read the Silmarillion, but now I actually understand it after watching these videos. I understand what happened and what was going on. And that's kind of my goal. I'm glad that these writers, these video game creators, filmmakers, whatever, I'm glad that they put in all the effort to make these really intricate, complicated universes and franchises. But if they were always easy to understand, I wouldn't really have a job and I wouldn't have a series. The purpose of the series is to help people understand, not to show off how much I know, which seems like sometimes that's what video creators of this type like to do. But no, the purpose is to educate. Which, if my teachers from high school could hear me saying something like that, they would just, their minds would be blown. Yeah. I actually got a pretty crazy comment last night. It was on the Nier Lathotep video. And it started by saying, fuck you for this video. And then it went on for like a whole paragraph. He dropped the F-bomb like 20 times. But he was so, it was like the most pissed off I've ever heard anybody. He was so pissed off that I said that Nier Lathotep was like the most powerful of the mythos deities. And he said that, you know, basically I didn't understand anything about Lovecraft's mythos. I didn't understand the point of it at all. If you want to compare power levels like that, go back to Dragon Ball Z and leave literacy for us people. And then he ended by calling me fucking useless piece of shit or something like that. Which was pretty dramatic. Obviously I didn't respond. Responding is usually not a good idea in that situation. Because these people will never really, like, you'll never be able to sway them and they're like, oh yeah, that's a rational thought. Like those, if you're dropping the F-bomb 20 times in a paragraph, you're probably not prepared for rational thoughts. And I didn't delete it either, because that just gives them the satisfaction. Just leave it and pretend, you know, I never saw it. I don't read comments. Well, oh, I mean, I'm used to YouTube comments at this point. I have read, I really should be keeping, like, track. I should be, like, creating a file of all my best YouTube comments, because there are some absolutely insane people. Mostly on the Mythos videos. I think that tends to attract more insane people. But yeah, there are just some utter loons. That, like, literally believe they own the Necronomicon. And they do rituals in their bedroom every Saturday and stuff like that. And, you know, you might think it's a joke, but I don't think it's a joke. There are some insane people. I don't think this guy was insane. Just perhaps a little misguided. I think it's a little crazy to say that I don't understand the purpose of Lovecraft's mythos. I mean, I understand the concept of cosmic nihilism and insignificance and all that. But, you know, the purpose, the reason, well, I mean, the Nyarlathotep video is always going to be my most controversial one of those because it was so opinion-based, because he is my favorite, and he is the most unique among the deities. But the reason why I decided to say that I thought he was the most powerful was to give some insight into the character. You know, Nyarlathotep is very different from all the others, and there is a reason for his difference. You know, if all the mythos deities were meant to be just cosmic horrors, they would all just be conglomerations of bubbles and tentacles and stuff. But there is a reason Nyarlathotep is so drastically different than all the rest. And so I said that he was the most powerful in order to give some insight, and again, to further educate as to, you know, why he's different. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure that was the first time that anyone has really had a problem with me saying that. But, oh well. I don't own a Necronomicon. No, I don't. I mean, I thought about buying it because there is a number of obviously fake Necronomicons that companies have put together, and so I thought about, okay, I could buy all these fake Necronomicons and maybe like put together an interesting video, but I don't know. They're probably all pretty shit. But you talk to that guy, he'll tell you he's got the one real Necronomicon. He won't tell you where he got it, but it's got rituals in it. Anyways, so yeah, it's you have to deal with YouTube comments as a YouTuber, which is, I think, probably generally agreed upon as the worst part of the whole situation. I don't know any YouTuber that really likes YouTube comments, and you know, every YouTuber kind of handles it differently. Some of them are a lot more sensitive to it. Some YouTubers just block comments entirely. You know, the Spoony one just had like a breakdown. He just blocked all comments on everything forever. I believe Total Biscuit still blocks comments on his channel, and he just has his subreddit. And sometimes YouTubers just kind of, I think they respond to them a little too vocally, as in it seems like it comes off like they care too much. They get a little too defensive. One of my favorite YouTubers that I discovered fairly recently, is called Techmoan. He's a middle-aged British guy that talks about retro tech and old hi-fi stuff and old video players, stuff that I don't really care about too much, but I've watched like all of his videos. Seems like a really great guy, but you can tell that he just gets way too involved in his YouTube comments because he tends to actively respond to them in video. You know, he'll bring up comments on screen and he'll talk about them, and you know, he'll defend himself on video for comments, and he has these little skits he does at the end of his videos with like these Muppets And all of those are pretty much in reference to various YouTube comments and stuff, and it's just like, just let it go, man. Just it's gonna keep happening as long as you make videos. Just gotta let it go. I feel like I'm done in this tree. So, yeah, I mean, you try to not let it get to you, but I mean, I definitely thought about that guy's comment last night. You can't have someone sit there and tell you you're a fucking worthless, useless piece of shit a bunch of times, and you have to have really thick skin for you not to think about that at all. But in the end, it doesn't really bother me because, yeah, he's probably a twat, as Ren says.
They can be taught to strengthen the great tree. The Kwama will soon learn the cave is their nest and treat the spirit as their queen. Together.
Yeah, it's just is what it is. But regardless, I still really do enjoy the job. And I'm very happy that I have been able to make something out of it, and it's been a success, and I continue to get, 100 subscribers or so every day for whatever reason. Anyways, let's move on to something else, I suppose. Hold left trigger to explode. What the hell does that mean? Board games. Let's see here. Monday we played Space Alert. We finally got to play Space Alert. A game that's been in my collection for a long time. It is a real-time spaceship simulator. So, kind of like FTL, the board game, I guess, but does not really play like that. Because the manner in which it's played is sort of the main purpose. So basically, there is the game comes with a CD, which is really, it's just cute. It's cute. But we don't use the CD because there's a phone app. And so you load up a mission or whatever, the training simulator, blah, blah, blah. And you press start, and that loads up an audio file that plays for 10 minutes. And the audio pretty much tells you when to flip over threat cards and show them on the track so that you know threats are coming in. And they'll have special events that'll crop up, like you might have a communications blackout, so you can't talk to anyone until it tells you that the comms are back online. Or there might be data transfers, so you can pass cards between each other, and so on and so forth. And basically, the premise of the game is you are...
What? That isn't possible.
You are trying to defend a ship while it, scans a region for 10 minutes, while various threats are coming at you, whether they're enemy spaceships, or energy clouds, or asteroids, or whatever. Usually it's enemy ships.
Then that is a blessing.
And so you have to run around the ship and use the cannons, the various cannons around the ship, to blast at the enemies. And you can charge up the shields, and you have to keep energy flowing from the central reactor to the other reactors, and make sure those are stocked up so the cannons have energy to shoot. And then you have a pulse cannon, and as the game progresses, you unlock new stuff, which is pretty interesting. So we managed to unlock rockets, so you can shoot rockets out, which are kind of like delayed damage sources. And we didn't get to play it, but we're gonna unlock battle bots. Because apparently our ship is going to start to be invaded by enemies, and so we have to turn on the battle bots to actually to attack things that are on the ship. And various bad things as your ships gets damaged. The elevators can go offline and stuff like that, and different reactors and cannons can get damaged and weakened, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's kind of FTL the board game, I guess. Cooperative, up to 5 people. And the big problem is the way that the game is actually played. Sure, take the books.
You are full of surprises. And to rest any fears you may possess, an old trinket. But this one,
I think I did like a bad
always
thing.
felt it brought her
If you're giving me a scalpel,
perhaps
it's
it was
probably
to meet
probably
at the
bad.
shrine.
And anyways, I have to. Anyways, the way the game is played, it's real time. So you have 10 minutes, real time, to sort of handle everything. But it's kind of tricky because during the real time segment, which is again 10 minutes long, the audio is basically telling you when things are happening, and you have to react to it in real time. And so, but those things aren't actually happening. Because after the 10-minute sequence is done, then you go to the resolution sequence, where you go back through all these threats that popped up at various times, and you actually do everything that happened during the 10 minutes. The way that I guess the book tries to explain it is like, during the 10 minutes, everything is happening, and then in the resolution phase, you're like watching it all on a video showing you what you did. Which I guess is kind of an explanation, but not especially. The reason it's tricky, though, is that you can move pieces around on the board because it doesn't matter, and so you can kind of try to keep track of everything that is happening, but during the resolution phase, you go turn by turn, bit by bit, and actually track everything that went down. And so if you weren't properly paying attention, or you did some fuck up during the real-time phase, you might not really know that you fucked up until you go piece by piece later on when it's, when it's not timed. And so, to add on to that fuckery, is the way the game is played is you get a handful of cards, and they either have like a specific movement that you can do, or they have a specific action that you can do. So one card might be, you can either move right with that card, or you flip it over and you can activate a cannon. And so you have a handful of cards, and you might only have like move right. Like you might not have any moves that move you left. And so data transfers where people pass around cards, that might be able to help you, but again, during the whole real-time phase, it can get real tricky. And so you have to play these cards face down, so in a sequence. So you have to play them in order of what you want to do. And so, if it was turn-based, just bit by bit, this game would be really easy. Because you could just say, okay, well, I can move here, and then I move here, and then I do this, and then I move here, and then I do this, and then I move here, and I do this. And then, okay, you're going to move here, and you're going to do this, and move here, and blah, 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 blah. But real time, with threats coming in, and you can't really keep track of everything, because you have to keep track of all these energy sources, and okay, this cannon used up this energy, so that now that's at 2 energy, and we have to resupply the central server, and okay, you have to go over here, and they introduce a lot of, again, fuckery, to mess with you, because if 2 people use an elevator at the same time, basically it can only fit 1 person, so the second person gets kicked out, and their actions get delayed. So all their actions get kicked back 1 step, which will probably fuck up everything. All because you weren't paying attention and you didn't know that 2 people were taking the same elevator at the same time. And you might get attacked by a threat, by something coming at you and shooting your ship, and so that might damage the elevator, but you don't get to know the effects of damage until after the real-time segment. So you might play through the whole real-time 10-minute thing, and you're using elevators and stuff like that, and you're using cannons, and you're doing all these calculations in your head, and you're doing all this in real time, and then during the resolution you find out early on your ship actually got damaged, and you didn't know that it damaged the cannon, and it was weaker than you thought it was, and so that fucked up all your calculations, and you're all fucked. You're just fucked. That's it. That's pretty much the name of the game.
Thank you for
Aside from that, however, it is quite a bit of fun during that real-time segment, because it is very stressful. So if you don't like stress in board games, it's obviously not for you. But if you can handle that, it is quite a bit of fun to do it. Very hectic, but a good time to be sure. And so we only got through like the basic training stuff. We didn't even get to like an actual proper mission, I don't think. So there's still more for us to unlock. Like I said, battle bots and interceptors and things like that, and like heroic actions, and there's more to unlock. But yeah, it was quite a bit of fun. I'm glad I finally took it off the shelf. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it can take time, but in the end, you can play a good game. Look at this cat. Look at this rendered cat. Okay, its eyes are a little... Alright, it's not great. We've seen better video game cats, I'll be honest. Anyways. We also have been continuing to practice for the coup tournament. I don't know how that's going to go. Like, it seems like every time we play, a few of us can each win a game, but it's not like one of us is just clearly better. Like, I don't know... I don't know if anyone can be just clearly better at coup. It seems like such a luck-based game, but we'll find out. We will find out. My mom and I have been playing Netrunner again, and we went through the Terminal Directive campaign, which is it was kind of a surprise when it was first announced, because Netrunner does not seem like a campaign kind of game. And it's fairly impressive what they managed to do with it. They have a story, and yeah, most of it is pretty much you just playing a bunch of Netrunner games between each other. But there is a story, and you unlock sort of special abilities, I guess, but they're mostly like passive abilities. Like, one of the things that I had for most of the campaign was whenever the runner makes an unsuccessful run, I get 2 credits, which isn't like hugely drastic, but it's a nice little bonus, and that's kind of what all the different abilities were, just a nice little bonus. And you have different objectives, and throughout the campaign you're opening different sets of cards. It's kind of a legacy kind of game, because you get stickers and cards, and I did end up ripping up some things in the campaign. It's kind of a one and done thing, which for the price and the length is... it's a bit of a rip-off. I couldn't really recommend it. And so I ended up making 2 new decks for the campaign that was based on sort of a recommendation by Fantasy Flight. I don't know what I'm doing. Is this the auction house? Look at all these traits and enchantments and styles and shit. Okay. So yeah, I made 2 new decks that used a lot of the new cards given by the campaign. Because it comes with a lot of cards. I mean, that's mostly what you're paying for, is just 100 some new cards or whatever. But basically the deck that I used for most of the campaign was clearly overpowered, and even other people were saying it was overpowered right out the gate, because they gave you these new agendas to use in the campaign that were just combined with that deck were a little overpowered and blah, blah, blah. And so I ended up kind of sweeping the whole campaign. I think she won like 1 game overall compared to my 6 or 7 or something like that. It was very lopsided, which is not particularly fun. And I actually ended up going back to my original core deck that we had been playing with, and so we were actually both using just regular old decks from the core set. But I still ended up winning the campaign pretty easily. And so it was kind of an anticlimactic end, and yeah, it wasn't really a great time. Interesting ideas presented, and I don't know if I would have changed my mind if I was playing against someone of my skill level. But yeah, it's pretty lopsided, and I can't really help it.
You've kept busy. Good.
But now I finally have
John and Jode have a sense of humor, yes? And of course,
some of the Arkham Horror expansion, so we're going to start that, and she's a lot more excited about that because it's cooperative, so we don't have to I don't have to kick her ass.
Cast deep shadows and vipers. Mistral is the jewel of the southern seas, a free port with trade ties to half of Tamriel. Ambassadors from the Dominion arrived weeks ago to negotiate its admission into the Alliance. Unfortunately, things have not gone smoothly.
What kind of accent is this?
Kenarthi's Roost has an old treaty with the Maumar.
Is this like Russian? Arkadjit Russian?
To invade their home waters. It's a sticking point in the negotiations. The Sylvanar could use some help. Find him. Give him this token. He'll know you are a friend. Without Mistral's support, the Dominion will have precious little defense on its southern coasts.
Anyways, so yeah, we have the Sprawl tonight in 2.5 hours, so that should be a lot of fun. Finally get back to an RPG. I have like RPG withdrawal. It's not good. I guess to end, I can talk about War for the Planet of the Apes, which I saw Tuesday. So first of all, we actually saw it at the new Bistroplex. So the Bistro, my local theater, is the best thing to ever happen to movies, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I am very apprehensive to go to a normal theater anymore. I wanted to see Valerian this week, but it's not at the Bistro, so I'm not going. That's pretty much how it is. I might go to the normal theater to see Baby Driver because I hear really good things, but anyways. So yeah, the Bistro, where you get basically a counter in front of you, you get like a table and a nice chair, and you get served food and drinks and blah 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 during the movie, and it's just a hell of a lot better. And it's quite popular. It's quite a good business for them. Even though you only have to pay $5 for your ticket on Tuesdays, you know, they still make quite a bit of money from the food, which they've always made a lot of money on food, but now it's an actual like restaurant. And so yeah, everyone likes the Bistro, and it's good business. So they decided, why don't we just open up an entire theater, an entire building just devoted to Bistro theaters. And so that's what they did, and it's called the Bistroplex. And so it just opened on June 30th, and so we finally got a chance to go see it, and we saw War for the Planet of the Apes. It doesn't have sort of the same charming warmth as the other theater. I don't know. I think it might be the color scheme. The other theater is a lot of oranges and reds. And then you go into the theater and there's just a lot of, the counters and tables are all red, the chairs are red, but then the walls I think they're just like dark gray or something like that. I don't know, oranges and reds are just kind of a very comfy sort of color scheme. Whereas the new theater is all like blue, like sort of darker blue and white and stuff. White and black. It's like blue, white, and black. And it's just kind of very cold. It's very cold colors. I don't know who picked that. Because overall for that entire theater company, their color scheme is mostly red almost across the board. So I don't know why this one is so different, but it is not a comfy color scheme, which doesn't make a huge difference, but it just doesn't seem very welcoming. And so yeah, we get there, we get our tickets, and I collect ticket stubs. I don't know why. Most of them tend to fade with time because I don't really take good care of my collection. But yeah, for the past, I don't know, I want to say 6 or 7 years or something like that, I've collected the ticket stub for every movie I've gone to. And yeah, I mean, I don't really see a reason to stop. The ones that don't fade, I can be like, oh yeah, remember I saw this movie on this day. I don't know. People collect stamps. Screw you. Anyways, the ticket stubs at this new theater, for some reason they decided to really cheap out, and they're just paper. Like, literally, just like computer paper. Maybe even thinner than that. It seemed really cheap. Just flimsy paper you just scrunch up and throw away. Whereas all my other stubs are nice, like cardstock, sturdy stuff. And that really just bothered me. Like, that ruins my collection. If I only come here from now on for movies, that just ruins my collection. I can't collect pieces of paper. That's way too flimsy. I don't know. That's I guess a minor complaint. If overall the place was really incredible, I would accept that. But the place was not that incredible. They didn't level it enough. They didn't have enough levels to the seating. So you end up with all the servers basically just running in front of you constantly. Whereas the other theater, like, it is literal tiers. So you pretty much, like, can barely see the person. If a server walks in front of you, in front of your table, you can't even really see them because they're on a lower tier. So you really never see them running around, which is ideal because you don't want people running in front of you constantly while you're watching a movie. This other place it's not flat, but it's not far off from flat. And so you constantly have servers running in front of you. And some of them, like, duck down, but that doesn't stop anything because we're laying back in a chair. Like, you ducking down a foot does not change the fact that you're running in front of me. Whereas the other theater, they actually run behind you. Like, if they want to take your order, they come from behind you rather than just standing in front of you. So that was a problem. The other problem was the tables. The other theater, like I said, has an actual it's like a desk, like your computer desk. Basically, picture that. You're at basically a counter, and you can put you can put your elbows on there, you can put your arms, you have your plate there and everything, and it's basically a table in front of you. Whereas this new place, they put in recliner chairs for everybody, so it's all reclining chairs. And so they don't have tables because that really wouldn't work. Instead, they have basically like a kind of like a TV tray. It's attached to the chair, and you can, like, swing it in or swing it out. You can't really rest your arms on it. It's just kind of obnoxious. It's pretty small. It's just this little tray. And
we have a mutual friend. May I ask?
I do pretty much everything in my life at a computer desk, so I'm very used to just watching all my movies with a desk in front of me. So the bistro was just kind of very normal for me, and I like it. Whereas this TV, like, it's really like the most fattest, Americanist, laziest thing they could ever conceive. Literally, you are in a full reclining, heated chair, like, pretty much laying down. You have, like, this tray in front of you that is just, like, you know, above your stomach. And you have people that you are paying to bring food to you. and you're eating it pretty much while like laying down in a recliner while watching a movie. I don't know how you get more lazy or American than this. It's almost offensive to me. And I'm a fat, lazy American, but this is another step.
Indeed. Why not? It would be indecorous to suggest the treaty.
Our service for like me and my friends was surprisingly good, but my family was a few seats away down the row, and apparently their service was utterly terrible. They said they would never come back because of how bad the service was. So I don't know why the discrepancy, but there you have it. The prices were more expensive than the other theater, like $14 or so for a burger and fries, which is not something I'd like to spend routinely. The food itself was good, but not really any better than the other theaters, so I don't know why they're charging more. And overall, yeah, I didn't feel reason to ever come back. Our bistro, the normal one, does just fine, and I like it, and I don't see a reason to change. As for the movie itself, War for the Planet of the Apes, very good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I've never seen any of the original movies or anything like that. My first experience with the series was the 2001 Mark Wahlberg movie, which at the time I thought was all right. This new series really just kind of puts it to shame, though. Yeah, it might be the best of the three. I think it probably is. I like the second one a lot because it really has sort of an interesting... It shows a lot of interesting similarities between the two sides. Where you have good humans and you have bad humans, but then you have good apes and you have bad apes. And so it's like, no side is really perfect. And they're both to blame for this war that they've sort of gotten involved in. And yeah, it has an ape riding a horse, dual wielding machine guns, and that's pretty badass. The new one is kind of more lopsided, where pretty much all the humans are bad and all the apes are pretty good and heroic and cool. Spoiler, I guess. But there is a lot. It's a very beautiful film. There's a lot of incredible cinematography in that movie, and it's really just a good-looking movie. It's kind of just a joy to watch. And what else? There's definitely some humor in it. There's a specific ape that is pretty much entirely comedic relief. There's a lot of good acting. Andy Serkis really just does a tremendous job as Caesar. The funny thing that I remarked on as soon as I walked out, though, was like, if you took that same movie, that same plot and all that, and you replaced all the apes with, like, I don't know, aliens or Native Americans or whatever, any sort of other sort of people that are at odds with the white folk, it would be pretty much the same movie. The fact that they're apes specifically doesn't mean a whole lot as far as that movie is concerned. They could have been anything. It's kind of a tried and true plot a little bit, but still a really good movie. I enjoyed it. It made the evening worthwhile, even though the theater wasn't incredible. And so, yeah, it was overall a fine night, but I have no reason to go back to the Bistroplex. So that's pretty much the end of that. All right, I guess we'll wrap it up here. I've got to get ready for the sprawl in a little while. Got to do some crime. Yeah, so check out the timeline of Tamriel video tomorrow. It was a lot of work. I hope it's educational and entertaining. Probably predict plenty more Elder Scrolls videos this week. Maybe I'll get around to doing some Zelda. I don't know if I have any interest in going back to Nier Automata, but I guess you never know. And, yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So, my name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg, and I'll see you fine folks next week.